On the 1st of March 1987, a chestnut coalfoal was born to breeders Mr. and Mrs. Firestone. Moments later he'd take his first steps that would bring him on a 12,000 mile journey, finishing in horse racing folklore. We're at the Irish National Stud for that famous horse, and he is the one and only Vintage Crop.
Vintage Crop is a global superstar, and he's a very significant horse because what he achieved under the care of Dermot Weld in travelling so far to win the biggest race in the Southern Hemisphere has been rarely matched in all the years since, and it's amazing to think it's 20 years since. I think only one European horse has managed to do what he did.
Like all famous people, everybody needs guidance in their careers. And Vintage Crop was no different, and in that he had legendary Irish racehorse trainer Dermot Weld. Dermot, welcome to Vintage Crop's birthday. We know he was a good horse, Dermot. We saw that in the form. When did you know he was special?
I think from the very beginning. He showed talent in his very early days, and he just got better as the years went on.
And those great early days, he jumped hurdles, he won many great races. What one race stands out in your mind as his greatest European feat?
I think the English Cesarewitch. He won it by 10 lengths with top weight, and you see he had this wonderful ability in that he was an out-and-out stayer with speed, and he just had so many gears that he just ran away from them. I think there were 28 or 34 horses ran that year in the English Cesarewitch, and he just left them for dead. He just sprinted away from them at the end of 2 miles, 2 furlongs.
And the National Stud have been tremendous. They've supported a lot of famous horses here. So how important is it for you to keep a horse like this?
Well, this farm has been home to champion racehorses for well over 100 years now, and every decade it has produced its own champions. Vintage Crop wasn't raised here, he was raised not far from here on the other edge of the Curragh, but it's great that he's very much a Kildare story, born in Kildare, trained in Kildare, and conquered the world from Kildare.
Give me a look at one of those cards. Wow, that's very good. And you did that. What's your name?
Joelle.
Joelle, that's absolutely amazing. And look at this card as well. That's very good. A little poem inside it. Excellent. And look, what's that thing? That looks like Vintage Crop.
Yeah, this is a horse we made out of swimming noodles, and we put wool on top for the mane, and we done a bit of felt on the side.
Nobody knows Vintage Crop better than David Phillips. David, you looked after Vintage Crop for 5 years. What sort of a character was he?
He was a very quiet, unassuming sort of a character. Liked to get on with things himself, no fuss, and couldn't wait to get out in the paddock then after his daily exercise. That was what he enjoyed most.
The celebrity that is Vintage Crop still needs to be kept in that pampered lifestyle, and that job is done by Fiona and Leona. Fiona, what's the celebrity like to look after these days? Is he a bit of a diva?
He can be a little bit. As you can see now, he won't stand for the camera or anything. He's his own mind, but it's an honour to look after such a legend.
And Leona, if we can bring you in, who are you with here?
This is Tudor Loom, who is a good friend of Vintage Crops. They live out together during the day, and they won't go anywhere without one another. So they make a nice partnership.
We have with us here Dermot Cantillon, who was at the time Dr. Michael Smurford's racing manager. Dermot, it was absolutely great to be in Melbourne. Tell us about the experience.
Oh, it was wonderful, you know, it was a privilege to be there. You know, I was just thinking on the way over to the National Stud today, you know, 20 years, where did they all go? And just thinking back on the great day that it was. You know, history was made, and, you know, I suppose I wasn't really part of it, but I was a witness to it. And,
you are certainly part of it. It's all a team effort with this horse.
I know, I think it was Dermot Weld's ambition and drive that got us there. And I think, you know, Michael Smurford was delighted to be part of it, I suppose. And, you know, he'll always be remembered as the man that owned the horse that won the Melbourne Cup and the first European horse to do that.